What's going on, guys? Indy here with Ultimate Tool Reviews. Today we're taking a look at Evolution Power Tools all new metal miter saw. Now if you never used a metal miter saw, they're slightly different than a lot of wood miter saws you might have used in the past. Of course they have a lot more ways to secure the metal down. Now Evolution came out with this one. It runs right around $800 for this saw. Now if you're wondering, the miter saw stand that I am on is also by Evolution Power Tools as well too. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check out that video. This is going to be their heavy duty universal miter saw stand. If you want to check that out, I'll leave it in the description below. Alright, and setup on this saw is rather simple. There's not a lot to it. I think I did the whole thing in about 5 minutes. It took me longer to get it out of the box than it did for me to set up the entire thing here. Now you're only going to need really 3 things here to set the whole saw up. I used a 3/16 hex key, also used a 10mm socket, mostly just for securing in the miter saw to the miter stand. Not really actually needed to assemble the whole miter saw, but still useful. And then you're going to use the majority is going to be a number 8 hex key or 8mm hex key here. That's going to be about it for the whole assembly of this miter saw, with probably the hardest part being getting the arm onto the rollers. Alright, so right here on the back is going to be the hardest part to get on. It's not really hard per se, it's just that it's going to be a little bit tricky to get on because it's so heavy. Once you get it on, of course, you add this nice little Evolution block right here. Make sure you put the 2 screws in, and then now it can't actually come off. Don't forget to do this step, because if this thing slides off, that definitely won't be good. It does have a built-in lock right here, so you can lock that in place. If you're cutting in a certain, you want to just make the exact same cut over and over and over again without this sliding at all, that is really useful to have. Next up, of course, is just assembling all of the clamps and all of the different accessories for the cutting area. This just slides right on, as do these clamps. This also slides on as well, so there's not really any real assembly here in the front. It all just kind of pops in and you're good to go. These clamps, by the way, are fantastic. I wasn't too sure how well they would work, but they are super easy to adjust and pull in and out. Really like those a lot. They're super strong and they are very fast. Now the second hardest part is going to be just putting in the miter saw blade here. It's going to be a very heavy blade, but it is made in Japan, which is awesome to see. This is where you're going to use that number 8 hex key. You're going to pull off the cover here, then you're going to pull off the bolt, and there you go. It's pretty easy assembly. Once you do it once, you know what you're doing. Just be careful around the blade. It's rather heavy, and of course it's sharp, so make sure you have no power to it, and you should be good to go. I will note this is actually going to be a cast aluminum, so it is rather light. My Makita miter saw that you've probably seen in previous videos is way heavier than this miter saw. Even without batteries in the Makita miter saw, this thing is super light. For a miter saw, of course, it's still got some heft to it. But it's a lot lighter than what you think it's going to be, so it's a lot easier to move from job site to job site than a lot of other miter saws with a lot more weight to it. I made a couple of cuts in some thin metal here. Does a really nice clean job. There's certainly some burrs on it, of course. That's pretty standard of any type of miter saw. Can't emphasize this enough, guys. Make sure before you use a metal miter saw, if you've never used one before, make sure you understand all of the safety precautions on these. Here's when you're making different cuts on different types of metal, different shapes here. Make sure you follow these directions exactly. You don't want a piece of metal coming flying back at you when you're making that cut. That would not be good. Definitely make sure you always wear safety glasses, and I always like to wear a face shield and gloves whenever I work with a metal miter saw. You never know what's going to happen. It's always worth having full PPE whenever you're working with these types of equipment. There's a number of mounting holes, which is actually really cool for this clamp here. You can actually go here, 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 here. There's a bunch of them here, which is really cool. I will say the one downside is I wish this hole was a little bit closer to the sides here. I noticed when I put the clamp in, it doesn't always come down all the way. Check this out. I can push the saw down and I'm going to hit right there, so it doesn't come down all the way. It'd be cool if this hole was a bit farther to the right. I'm not sure why that is exactly there. And while we're on this side here, there is a hex key for both sides of the hex key here. I prefer just to use an impact wrench there to get in a lot quicker. Of course, don't over tighten them. That's always a key thing if you're using an impact wrench. But having this key here on the side is pretty nice. I will say, I wish it was in there just a hair tighter. It is a little loose. I feel like if you moved it maybe 10 times, this could come off if you haven't seen where this thing is, and don't push it back every time. Having maybe something here too would actually hold that in just a little bit better. You've got all the standard miter saw locks here, so when you're moving the saw, you can then lock this down and you're good to go. Nothing out of the ordinary there. A couple of quick specs to be aware of. They're all actually noted here on the top, which is excellent, as well as their customer service number too. Of course, we'll be pulling about 15 amps on this saw. You can of course see the size of the blade, 14 inches, and we are 1450 is going to be our no load speed. So when you're buying a new blade, make sure you are well aware of that, and of course all the safety reminders for, of course, wear your PPE. Almost forgot to mention too, with the included blade, we do have, of course, the rotation and the type of steel here to give you the best options for cutting. So make sure you guys check that out when you open the blade. Don't rip it like I did. You can use this as a nice reference. It must be cool if they had a spot to put the power cord when you're done with it. I think this will work for now. Of course, you don't want to cut the power cord if this thing slides off. You know, this might slide and hit the cord here, pinch it. But I think this is where it's kind of supposed to go here. There's not really any other spots up here for it to go to. We of course have a beveling stand here, so I can go 45 degrees in either angle. There is no tilt adjustment on this saw. Also, one thing I wish miter saws would start doing this. I like this by Evolution. Kind of when you first see this, that the 0 is over here with the little arrow. But it's cool because I'm not focusing on trying to look at something down here, you know, where it's usually hidden out of sight to see where I'm at exactly. I just look to the right here and say, yep, I'm at 0. Go over here and I'm only at 45. Over here I'm at 45 too, by just looking to the right of wherever I'm centered, which is actually a really smart design there. Well, I think Evolution Power Tools really hit it out of the park with this miter saw. So of course it's got tons of power, seems like it gets the job done really fast, and the overall construction quality of this tool is superb. There's not really any major issues, really even minor issues that I could find with it, other than that one little clamp that's kind of hitting the saw as it comes down, which that's not really a big deal. I'm not even sure what's going on there exactly. But other than that, this saw is lightweight, easily maneuverable, gets the job done, and overall I think it's a pretty cool tool. If you want to check out Evolution Power Tools, I'll leave a link in the description for their website. Also want to check out the miter saw stand that I'm using as well. It's also by Evolution Power Tools. I'll leave a link to my review on that as well. There's a lot of cool features about that miter saw stand. So guys, thanks for watching, take care, don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay safe out there.